Hello and welcome back to the Portadown Preview Show. This will be the final preview show of 2021, and of course, we're going to go out with a bang. The phenom of the Portadown Preview Show, Michael Clarke, is back for the final show of the year. We'll have to have a top guest, so Michael's joined us. Michael, how are you keeping?
I'm doing very well. I have to say I'm a bit disappointed that Dave isn't here. I think it's because he realised he promised me a present once I reached a milestone, and lo and behold, time for presents. Dave disappears.
His nickname's Scrooge for a reason. Listen, thanks again for coming on the show. You're starting to take off and get well clear of everybody else. You know, the chasing pack are starting to pull away.
Look, it's the sort of thing that, when you're a kid growing up, you think maybe one day, and for it to happen. No, in all seriousness, I think you're doing a great job with the podcast. It gives fans something to connect to and debate about and to look forward to in between matches. And look, I love talking about football. So anytime I'm asked to come on one of these things, I'm delighted.
Oh, well, you're always most welcome on the show, and thank you very much for those lovely compliments. Before we crack on with last weekend's action, Portadown took on Cliftonville, I just have to stress now, for Portadown fans, the tickets for the Mid-Ulster Derby, the festive derby, so to speak, as it's not officially Boxing Day this year, or Boxing Day +1, so to speak. The tickets for that are only going to be available online, and the vast majority have already sold. So it's close to selling out. If you haven't already got your ticket, get on it ASAP, because you don't want to miss out. Everybody's buzzing around the town. It's the same in Lurgan on the blue side. Everybody's really looking forward to a festive derby again between the two clubs, and get on it because you don't want to be disappointed. If you have any issues, check out Portadown FC's website, www.portadownfc.co.uk, and get your box. Well, not even Boxing Day +1 fix, and you don't want to miss out. So that's that said and done. And don't forget to like and subscribe to the Reports TV YouTube channel. Right. Anyway, now the formalities are out of the way. On Saturday past there, Portadown took on Cliftonville, the current league leaders of the Danske Bank Premiership, and it finished a very entertaining 1-1 draw at Shamrock Park. Portadown took the lead, but were subsequently clawed back late in the game. But a good result. Michael, what's your thoughts on that?
Well, I wasn't at the game, but I heard what they were saying on the radio afterwards, and I've subsequently watched the highlights. And whilst it's always disappointing to be winning in a game and not, come away as victors, by all accounts, Jethro Barr had one of, if not his best game for Portadown, made a ridiculous amount of saves and some very difficult saves that he made look a lot easier than they were. And I know on the Radio Ulster coverage, Liam Beckett said I think it was the best goalkeeping performance he'd seen, or words to that effect, which is a great compliment. As Michael Hammond, who was beside him, said, Liam's about 100 years old, so he's seen plenty of football. But, joking aside, Jethron's had a very good season, and when you have a good goalkeeper, it gives you every chance. Cliftonville are a fantastic team. They're top of the league, for a reason. They've had a really, really impressive campaign, and they were desperate to try and grab and sneak that winner whatever way possible, and know that a goal chalked off too. But part of it was some good defending, good goalkeeping, and that comes into it, particularly when you're the underdogs in a game like that.
Most definitely, especially in the second half when Cliftonville were 1-0 down. They threw everything at us. The kitchen sink was at the heat. There were bodies flying on the line. Jethro was like Spider-Man. It was a really resolute defensive performance, which is something that Portadown, to be honest, have really needed for quite a while now. We have been leaking far too many goals. I think everyone would admit that straight away. And it's strange because whenever you're winning a game, when you concede and you draw, it feels like a defeat and you sort of feel a bit deflated. But I think even before the game, anybody would have bit your hands, for a point before the game, because Cliftonville are absolutely flying. They're a fantastic team. And, funny, when we went 1-0 up, Cliftonville immediately almost scored. Joe Gormley ran straight through and Jethro made a great save at his feet. And just after that happened, it was, in a sense, one-way traffic bar the odd Portadown break. And now,
it's
don't get me
interesting.
wrong.
because Jethrin said that was his favourite save of the match, and I'm always interested in what a goalkeeper likes, because quite often we love the big diving saves, tipping one away from the top corner and stuff. But he said when Joe Gormley's coming in on goal, if you're able to deny him, that's pretty much as good as it gets in the Irish League. And he's got a point. Obviously, Joe Gormley's clinical, so fantastic bit of keeping there.
I think the vast majority of people in the ground, and no matter what game it is, if Joe Gormley's running through one-on-one with your keeper, you're hiding like straight away, because you think, oh no, he's going to score, because he doesn't miss very often. So it was an absolutely fantastic save, and it was one of, I would say, 5 or 6 top drawer saves. So he was rightfully named man of the match. But he wasn't the only one that put in a wonderful performance. From the defense starts at the very front, and Lee Bonus, Adam Sally, they put in brilliant performances up top. Stephen Taggart scored a brilliant goal as well. Everyone put a shift in, and reaped the rewards at the end. They got a very well earned point, and it's a very good point, because Cliftonville will beat most teams this season. To be honest, they're going to be thereabouts come the end. Everybody, I think, was predicting that it maybe fallen off a couple of months ago. They're still going strong, so they'll be disappointed, I think, obviously, not to have won, especially with Linfield messing up. But from Portadown's perspective, people would have bit your hand off before the game for a point, and that they definitely deserved at least a draw. And the funny thing is, before Cliftonville scored, Michael Ruddy had a great header, and it just went past the post. And you're thinking, if that had went in 2-0, could it have been game, set, match? Who knows? But it's all about if, buts, and maybes at the end of the day, isn't it?
Your home record's curious, isn't it? Because you still haven't won a game at home in the league this season. Your last league home win was, May against Dungannon. So, it's been a long time, but 5 draws, 6 defeats. It's not terrible either. It's that elusive victory, and Cliftonville isn't the game where you'd expect that to come. Just fast forward and maybe a wee bit ahead more than where you want to talk about yet. That game on the 27th, you're saying it's nearly sold out. Any wonder? Because if there's a game where you want to put that right, doing it against your derby rivals, I mean, there's a story potentially, because Glenavon have been going good guns. Indeed.
Well, we'll touch on the Glenavon game in due course. But before we get to the small matter of a mid-Ulster derby, so to speak, we have a massive game this Saturday away to Warrenpoint Town at Milltown. Now, as already touched on, Linfield, when I was referring to Cliftonville, drew at the weekend past, and it was against Warrenpoint, and they will be massively buoyed on, because, I would say the vast majority of people, again, give Warrenpoint absolutely no chance of getting anything at Windsor Park, and they came away with an excellent point. And they'll be buoyed going into this game this weekend against Portadown, because they're in a scrap as well. And listen, I'm a realist here. They're going to be targeting us to say, listen, if we beat Portadown, we'll jump them. Whereas Portadown are going to be targeting Warrenpoint and going, if we beat them, we'll pull a wee bit clear of them. So it's the old cliche, isn't it? It's a 6-pointer. And what's your take on Warrenpoint this season? Because again, they're, what's the word? They're not deceptive, but they're bottom of the league, I know, and of course the league table doesn't lie, but they're actually a good side.
It's a strange season for so many reasons, but one of them is Warrenpoint are a good example of how strange the league is. Actually, they hadn't won a game since the first game of the season, and we're talking about defeat after defeat after defeat. How do you motivate a team? And people were sort of writing their eulogies at that stage. Now you look at it, and they're in a position where they could be coming off the bottom of the table very soon. So, Portadown are all too aware of that. So are Dungannon, even Clarke Rangers, who results have fallen off for them. So things change very quickly. And I guess that's a huge credit that must be paid to Barry Gray. Imagine how hard it would be to motivate a team after, a dozen plus defeats in a row, and some very heavy defeats in there. You could easily just think, well, we've no chance of bouncing back. So to go to Linfield and to get a point, superb, really, for them. And that has to be the confidence builder. Now, I know off the back of that, then they were heavily beaten against Coleraine. The other way of looking at that is you say, well, they did get to a semi-final of a cup competition. So there are things that Warrenpoint can point to and say progress, but obviously they've still a long way to go, and they're one of the teams that are going to struggle this season. We knew that coming into it. It's funny in a sense because we're talking about Warrenpoint drawing against Linfield. I remember a few years ago Matthew Tipton's Warrenpoint drawing at Windsor Park, and it was a 3-3 draw, I think. We spoke after the game, and I'm going to get this slightly wrong, and Tippy will no doubt correct me, but roughly speaking, we were doing this interview and I was saying, that's amazing. And he said, yeah, but my mum's won like a washing machine in some competition today, so the family are more buzzing for her. It was a washing machine or a TV or something. And I just remember going, well, I feel quite sorry for you, Matthew, because you've pulled off a stunning game, and a performance here where they scored 3 times at Windsor. And, unfortunately for them on that day, didn't win. So like he knows all about Warrenpoint and what it's like to be there. And he knows that Warrenpoint will fancy themselves against Portadown. But what Portadown fans will also know is that your solitary win of the campaign was at Milltown. So, can lightning strike twice? That's probably the Warrenpoint team talk too. Look, they came down here and beat us. We can't let them do that this time. But equally, you've the confidence from having already done it this season.
Yeah, absolutely. And listen, I know it's an old phrase Dave always uses on the show. He goes, we play better against better teams. But there comes, that's all well and good. But, the fact of the matter is you need to take that into games against so-called lesser teams, and that's not being disrespectful, but you know what I'm saying. And I mean, what would you prefer? Putting in a wonder performance against Linfield and getting a point, or Cliftonville and getting a point, or playing awful against Dungannon or Warrenpoint but winning? At the end of the day, it's a results business, and Portadown need to win games, and they've got to take that good form in those games and bring it into the games against the likes of Warrenpoint, Clarke, Dungannon, because they're the teams in and around us at the minute. And I'm actually really looking forward to the Saturday. I think even though it's the 2 teams down at the bottom, there's it just sort of feels like a big game field, if you know what I mean. There's a lot riding on it because, well, we've already just talked about the permutations. Warrenpoint win, they're going to be looking upwards and going, right, we've got Portadown, Dungannon are next. Whereas if Portadown get the result, we can go here, Dungannon, are in around us as well. Clarke have a couple of very difficult games coming up too. So it's the same for either side. Again, we all said at the start of the season, those 4 teams would be all in around each other, and it's starting to sort of condense a wee bit more. But you don't want to be cut adrift, of course, because then it does, in a sense, become mission impossible, and we don't want that. Like,
that's why we always say it's a results business. And Coleraine were the victims of that a few seasons ago. When they barely lost at all, was it 1 defeat or whatever in the league campaign? But it was the draws what done them in the end, and why they missed out on the Gibson Cup. And you'd rather play hopeless for 3 games in a row but win one of them than play fantastic for 3 games in a row, draw 2, lose 1. It's about getting as many points as you can, and everybody knows that anyway. So it's just for Portadown, it's that weird thing where, as you say, you play better against the better teams, and that trend has to end. You need to be able to now pick up points against your so-called relegation rivals if you want to stay in this division, which undoubtedly you do.
I don't think I could stomach another more years in the championship. And again, no disrespect to the championship, but geez, that was mind-numbing at times. Who out of Warrenpoint this season's impressed you? Like, who would you pinpoint? Like, if you were manager of Portadown, so to speak, who would you be looking at to nullify their threat or whatnot?
Look, Wade Slater is the player that you'd say probably has had the best form recently. He's got a few goals. Alan O'Sullivan, when he's on it, is a big goal threat as well. They're going to be the 2 main ones. They've got the experience, the likes of Fran McCaffrey there. And then, in goals, Connor Mitchell, he's a man with a point to prove, really. He finally has a chance to be the number 1 goalkeeper after having to play second fiddle at his last 2 clubs. So this is his chance to show everybody what he can do, and maybe in addition to move somewhere else. And I'm sure, that's something people at Warrenpoint are aware of, that, when you get a player from a bigger club coming to Warrenpoint, a lot of them are trying to put themselves in the shop window. I'm not speaking for Connor there. Maybe he'll be so won over that he'll never want to leave, but he's obviously the man you got to get past. So there's two decent keepers in this match, which you'd think could that be a low scoring game, but nothing's as predictable as that in this league. So I don't know, but look, Wade Slater's going to be the man I think you have to nullify, and you're going to have to try and stop him creating things. And then O'Sullivan, presuming that he's available to play, is a man that on his day is very good, and sometimes a player I think that maybe should score a few more goals. But look, it's difficult because they don't get as many chances. The nature of the Premiership and the level of competition they're up against. Certainly, if we were looking at this Warrenpoint squad in the Championship, we'll be talking about a team at the other end of a table.
Yeah. Warrenpoint as well are on the back of an absolute hiding there against Coleraine from during the week. I was rather hoping that the game would be really, really close and it would go right through extra time and right through the penalties and stuff, so that their legs are a bit tired and a bit stiff for Saturday. But listen, I'm Warrenpoint to be up for it. They'll be targeting us, we'll be targeting them, and I think it's a must-win game for both sides. So fingers crossed, Portadown can bring a very big support down to Milltown. It's not too far away from Portadown, it's only half an hour away. So let's see as many fans as possible, because the players do feed off, that positive vibes, positive energy and stuff. And, we'd have a good away support, and it'll be great to get as many as we possibly can down on Saturday there. So hopefully to see a fair few faces there to get behind the team. So we'll move on from Warrenpoint, but before we actually get to Glenavon, Michael, there's always been, I won't say always been, for like the past 4 or 5 weeks, we've had a weekly feature. And this week's weekly feature is going to be, seeing that it is the last show of 2021, flip me, I'm a year behind. Seeing it's going to be the last show of 2021, this week's weekly feature is going to be 3 things about the Irish League that you've really enjoyed during this calendar year, or 3 things you've disliked, whatever you want, whatever tickles your fancy. Just three memorable things, so to speak, from the Irish League this year. And it can be from whatever. It doesn't have to be to do with Portadown. It could be games you've commentated at or whatnot. So the floor is yours, my friend.
I think, like, the first one, I talked about it before on this podcast, and that's the return of fans. They were so massively missed last season, and even when we had reduced attendances, it was a very strange experience as a commentator. I was all too aware that the players and the management could hear me shouting about things that were happening. I'm sure the officials could as well, and were wondering what exactly was going on. And I wouldn't say embarrassing, but it sort of felt a bit like manufactured, because you didn't have the crowd making the noise and having the excitement, and you're going, what's this lunatic doing up there on his own screaming about things? So having the crowd as the soundtrack and allowing myself just to add to that, rather than having this eerie silence anytime I took a breath, it's just bliss, to be honest. It's great fun. I've had some really, really funny conversations with fans. There was one guy in Coleraine a couple of weeks ago politely heckling me because he misheard what I'd said. I said that shot is not testing the keeper, and he thought I said it is testing the keeper. And then he was asking me, which local playing field the ball had landed in, and did I think that was a close one. And I sort of leant over and said, I think you missed a word out. And then his friends were having a go at him then about his hearing. But I love the conversations that you have with supporters. And like, I know you shouldn't heckle or whatever, everything sort of in moderation, but sometimes the say fruity language or the playful abuse that fans come up with for rivals is so funny that I find myself bursting out laughing. And it's those conversations and experiences and match day moments, if you like, beyond what's on the pitch, that just make football that bit better. And I have to say, actually, because we know officials have come under a bit of scrutiny lately, and maybe rightly so, I thought Andrew Davey did a great job of the Glenavon Coleraine game for the most part last weekend. He was having fun with fans because they were shouting on to him about something, and I think he replied something along the lines of, I know the rules, do you? To a supporter. And I just think having that bit of playfulness again back in grounds, rather than just a very procedural affair where it didn't have the same energy. So I'm grateful for that. That's a very long-winded answer, but that's number one.
Not fair play. I'm actually surprised. There's a couple of things I thought you may have mentioned, or maybe you will. because you seem to court controversy at the games you're commentating that, and there's two moments that I can think of off the top of my head, two very, very big moments, and I'm surprised you didn't mention them. Are you going to?
Mention them, fire them at me. You can ask me anything on this, I don't mind.
Well, the first one was going to be the Irish Cup semi-final between Crusaders and Larne, the penalty shootout. I think a lot of people, I was watching on the TV, I think a lot of people were perplexed. So sum that up.
Do you know what? Actually, it was one of the most difficult. It's probably the most difficult commentary I've ever done in my career, because I was saying, in essence, by the letter of the law, the referee was correct, and everybody else thought he was wrong. And I was on BBC Two saying this, so a lot of people probably thought I was wrong, and there was a lot of discourse about that. And I was really glad after the game that, I think I'm okay to say this. People on the BBC contacted me to say, well done, you got it right. And it ended up being one of the biggest stories nationally on the BBC Sport website. So thank goodness I got it right, because there were so many people clicking to go, what on earth happened in a cup semi-final? A keeper got sent off? How? What? And, because I knew that it was a game that could go to penalties, I'd swatted up on all the sort of permutations, all the regulations, and it's part of the boring minutiae that the commentators have to be aware of. And most of the time we are, but it can catch you on the hop. So I was just glad I got that right. But when I came off I walked across the pitch, and when I was going over and talking to other journalists, there was a real knot in the pit of my stomach going, oh, I hope I've got this right. I hope this is okay. Because obviously, I've gone through it like all the players have, like all the officials have, and we had Stephen Baxter at one point looking to pull his team off the pitch, and then the penalties went on, and some were saved and retaken. There were cards. There was a dismissal. There was an outfield player in goals. The whole thing was absolutely bananas. So I wouldn't put it in my good things to happen in 2021, because I don't know if I've ever got over it. But that happened, and thankfully it went okay. And then not long after that, I did Crusaders again in a game that went to a penalty shootout, this time at Solitude in the European playoff semi-final. And Michael Ruddy, now I've poured it down, who has an amazing penalty record. And Michael, I'll tell you about that. He doesn't even count it as a miss. Michael hits the penalty, hits the crossbar, bounces down over the goal line and comes out. And the referee and his assistant didn't see it. And the goal didn't stand, though it should have. And Cliftonville went through, and I was left to sort of sum that moment up again, completely live. And look, these are the moments, I suppose, that you're paid for as a commentator. That's where you show if you're worth your salt or not. You have to get them right. We had a replay. It was, I think anybody with a replay would have known it was right. Unfortunately, the referee doesn't have that, and he had to get it right the first time round, and he wasn't as fortunate. But look, those are, in hindsight, they're big moments and they're big talking points. And I was interviewing Stephen Baxter after that. He was very magnanimous, I have to say, because I know Stephen Baxter has a reputation from people that don't know him as maybe being quite vocal. And look, we've all seen angry interviews from him down the years. Stephen, I have a lot of time for it. Spoke very well about the whole thing. But as I'm interviewing him, I could hear my own voice commentating on that moment again, because several people standing in our proximity were watching it back and showing somebody else. So it was really, really surreal.
Again, I was, I was watching it at the time, and I was just like, did that actually just happen? But again, and listen, referees have a thankless task, and of course, mistakes can be made. Mistakes are made by everybody, but it was just, it was head scratching how it was missed. And I was surprised Baxter took it so well, because after the whole debacle of the Irish Cup semi-final, did that happen to you again? Like, what, about 4 weeks later, if even? Like twice in that, and it's absolutely crazy. Like, and he did take it on the chin, and I was just like, wow. I was shocked, because if that was me, I'd have been going absolutely bananas. Like,
see, since we're talking referees and this is a Portadown podcast, just to make everybody aware, and he's on The Score this week, cheap plug for my show, if you want to listen to it. Do you know who's become a referee now, Neil?
Who?
Mark McAllister.
Really?
Seriously, he's done 4 matches so far. But
Right.
Mark McAllister is now a referee. It's official. And like we all know, Mark was an absolute torture for officials his entire career. And we get into it in the show. So
Very good.
that'll be one for people maybe to check out. But fair play to him after, a career of abusing referees, he's decided to become one.
So is he reffing sort of like the Mid-Ulster Leagues or what, or at the minute, or what level is he at?
I think it's a lot of youth football games. He's actually doing Portadown Glentoran on Wednesday, and I think it's under 16s.
Very
So
good.
I'm sure the Glentoran group will be giving him a bit of a touch because obviously Portadown connections and Linfield connections too. So that'll be interesting. I'm sure he'll do a good job. But I just want to say, because I'm saying this anyone I talk to about this, isn't it just great to see an ex-player become a referee? Because that's the sort of thing we cry out for. And not to knock any referees who weren't a player. I'm a commentator and I was never a player. I don't know if that matters or not, but I just don't want to be, hypocritical in any way. But I think it does help if you have played the game to a good level. If you're going to officiate in the game, that knowledge transfers across. And there are many referees who are fantastic in world football we can think of who didn't, and that's fine too. But I do think it'll be of benefit to our league if we can get a few more, let's say, goal poachers turned gamekeepers.
No, fair play. And I mean, we've all heard Mark give referees a bit of stick. Like, so do you know what? That might mean put him in good stead for whenever he actually refs, because he might have a higher threshold himself, because he probably did push a lot of boundaries to referees over the years. Like, so, not fair play. And like Michael said there, if you want to check out his show, it'll be out tomorrow. I take it, yes.
Yes, it'll be out on Friday, and it'll be my last show of the year as well. But like all of these things, you can go back, you can catch up, and you can hear some interviews you might have missed with players throughout the Irish Premiership and a few international names in the mix as well.
There you go. There's Michael's cheap plug for this evening. But no, check out his show, and it's always good content and stuff. So, for myself, do you know what? I'll not keep us too long. Just basically what you echoed what you said already. Having the fans back, like even last season, I got to some of the games, and again was lucky enough to to do a bit of commentary and stuff on it. And it was surreal last season because you didn't have anyone there. But then Portadown have obviously still been running the streams, and to commentate again, to be asked to come back and do it, and like to do it alongside like former players and stuff. It's been great with the fans being there, and it does make it so much easier, I think. So that's been great fun for me personally, but it's great in general having the fans back. Whenever we got back the game against Dungannon at the end of last season, there was such a buzz in the crowd. The atmosphere was great because just for anyone just to finally be back, like, and it was in decent numbers as well. Obviously it was still restricted, of course, but then that leads me into this season, and the opening game of the season, which was against Glenavon, a Mid-Ulster derby to start the season. It was on a Friday night, and personally, like, I brought my 1-year-old with me, and it was just sort of like a family moment. It was just great bringing him down and whatnot, like, and so that was just as a personal moment for me, and it was great, and it was a good game. It was just disappointing we conceded a last minute goal again. Shock. But that was great, and looking ahead to next week's game, the day after Boxing Day, Glenavon again, and we'll roll into it now. I think there's a lot of buzz in general, and it'll not just be Portadown fans, Glenavon fans. It'll be same. It'll be Commentator, Ballymena, Warrenpoint, Dungannon, Clarke, Larne, whoever. Everybody will be really looking forward to getting back on Boxing Day, because Michael, you've commentated on the games on Boxing Day before. It is, apart from maybe the Irish Cup final, it is like the biggest. It's the biggest day in the football calendar over here by a mile.
Yeah, it was Marshall Gillespie had put up stats about the biggest ever attendances in the top flight, and it was only when he tweeted that I realised I think the top 3 or 4 of them I'd commentated on, and you sort of go, wow, that's crazy to think. Obviously over the last 10 or 15 years or whatever the span was, I don't think he did it from the beginning of time, but The Irish Premiership is just in such a great position. You look at where we are at now. The games on the 27th are absolutely huge because Linfield or Glentoran could be top of the league by then already, but they're going to be playing against each other at Windsor Park. So it's the biggest Big Two derby there has been in a very, very long time, because Glentoran are back in the position that they've been desperate to be in for the best part of a decade. So that match could set a new attendance record at Windsor Park. Fingers crossed we're not worrying about regulations changing or anything like that, because who knows with the changing landscape in the world at the moment, and toes crossed and everything. But that could be a new record attendance, and it would have every reason to be, for all that's in it, the rivalry, the time of year, where they are in the table. But equally, the North Belfast derby, what a match there, because depending on where Cliftonville are, this could be Crusaders' chance to close the gap even further on them, which a few weeks ago was unthinkable. Or it might be to reinstate their place at the top of the table if, and I'm sure they'll be hoping Linfield and Glentoran can take points off each other. So that's a massive story. The Mid-Ulster derby is huge. Dungannon and Warrenpoint, clearly a really, really important game. Clarke Rangers will want to upset the apple cart against Larne, because that's another derby match that, I think unless you're from one of the two towns, you probably look and go, it's not as maybe important a game, but it's their derby game. It's what's my derby game. So it's one that you really want to get the scalp. And if Clarke put a bit more pressure on Larne, I'm sure they'd happily do that. And the one I haven't mentioned is the game between Ballymena and Coleraine. I lived in Coleraine for 3 years, really ended up falling in love with the place, know what that rivalry is about, and they've slipped down to 6th in the Premiership. So, can David Jeffrey's team, who looked like they've turned a corner, inflict some pain on, a Coleraine team who are currently in a weird position where they have a final to look forward to, but they're looking up at their title rivals. So, no matter what game you're going to, every big club has a reason to be nervous. Every so-called smaller club has a reason to go, maybe, come on, let's do this, let's go. And I think that sort of sense of optimism should see crowds out in good numbers. And I don't think you're going to be disappointed. Whichever game you want to go to, guys, and most of you will be going to the Mid-Ulster derby if you can get your hands on the ticket. There's not many left, but it's going to be class. I absolutely love it. And Portadown, Glenavon, down through the years, I've done a few of those. They're never dull, are they? I mean, I've been at Mournview, and things got a little unseemly one time when fans were throwing things, I think, from one stand to another, and all this sort of misbehaving that, to a point is kind of just sums up a derby. The cajoling and of each team trying to influence the referee, getting wound up by everything, the sort of the anger, the singing, the chanting. It's going to be noisy and boisterous and brilliant.
Yeah. Listen, you've hit the nail on the head there. Across the league in general, I think all the games mean something this time. Obviously, there's years where not dead rubbers, of course, that's not the right terminology, but there should be games that are just maybe a couple of teams that are not actually rivals and stuff. But even, I know obviously it goes by, it's geographically, but obviously Warrenpoint and Dungannon aren't maybe the closest geographically, but it's a massive game, with the way the landscape of the league is at the minute. And then the rest all speak for themselves, to be perfectly honest. And when you're talking about some of the games over the years between Portadown and Glenavon, I remember one, do you know what? It was Boxing Day 2014, and we had a good side in that season, and we fell away, but we actually had been beaten by Warrenpoint the week before this, and on a Friday night game. And that was just after we beat Crusaders, who had went on to win the league. But we were playing Glenavon at Shamrock Park, and it was an absolutely fantastic game. And we drew 3 each because we gave away a last-minute penalty, and Kieran Caldwell smashed it in. I always remember that, but because Portadown's Mark McAllister scored, and the big knee sliding on, it was a brilliant game, brilliant atmosphere, and just even like listen, I know obviously with what's going on, outside of football and stuff at the minute, but I'm just praying that there's no more restrictions brought in and stuff, because like obviously people want to go and watch the football and stuff and all, and listen, I know it's probably me sounding selfish because for a lot of people it's not the priority, and I totally get that. But even thinking about it from the club's perspective, for like the home teams this year, the money it brings in because it's a full house. I mean, Glenavon are selling out that away stand. We'll sell out, the home end as well, and it's a lot of money being brought in. And actually, clubs need that money, whether it be Portadown, Ballymena, Coleraine, Linfield, whoever. And I'm really hoping that it doesn't get affected by it. So we're currently on Thursday the 16th. So we have 11 days still to that. So you just wouldn't know, to be perfectly honest. So
it's hard to know at the moment, and look, we'll not get into anything. I'll not regurgitate all the stuff that I've been reading or anything like that, but just fingers crossed. And I would say that you can't compare Northern Ireland to England in terms of match day habits, because we're not all piling into undergrounds, tube stations, getting into buses or trains and making these long journeys inside whatever mode of transport with one another. Many of us are taking our own cars or just going with people from our own household when you think of those games and meeting up with people at the ground. So the risk, I would suggest, is lesser. The numbers certainly are lesser than if you're comparing, English clubs and English stadiums, obviously. So you would like to think that there's a bit of common sense in there too for what is a day where you spend all the time outside, so I would say that for anybody in a position of power that may or may not be listening to this, is just a little sort of additional thing to keep in mind. But, sometimes I think we fear, don't we, that, sport isn't seen as important as other things. And it's usually by people that have never experienced what sport can bring you, in the same way that sometimes sporty people can poo-poo the arts and not understand what theatre might give somebody else. It's all about whatever does it for you. But for us, it's football, isn't it? That's kind of our thing. So, I hope, maybe I'm just being optimistic, but I think and I hope we'll be okay for the 27th, fingers crossed. Anyway, I want to ask you a head versus heart question, because we've done it's all about results and all that and points on the board. So
I know what you're going to say here.
You said, oh, well, that year we got beat by Warrenpoint, but then we went and played that game against Glenavon. So would you happily lose to Warrenpoint and beat Glenavon this year? Or would you rather beat Warrenpoint, who are more of a battle with you in terms of league position, and forego the derby result?
Wow. I knew you were going to ask that just when you said head versus heart. And I was like, God. You know what?
I'll buy you some time here because it's a stinker of a question.
It is a stinker of a question, but at the same time, Glenavon aren't particularly far away from Clarke, Portadown, or Dungannon or Warrenpoint. They're not miles away, so realistically, you wouldn't expect them to drop into that bottom four, but it's not like they're way ahead. But that's a hard question. 2 draws.
See, that's only 2 points when you could have 3.
Yeah, true. But then you don't want to lose to Glenavon on Boxing Day, Boxing Day +1.
If I was to explain football to somebody that didn't understand football, I would just show them the last 30 seconds of you absolutely hating the fact that the answer is beat Warrenpoint, but you can't bring yourself to say it.
You would probably say that the sheer importance that beating Warrenpoint is more imperative than beating Glenavon, but the fact that it's going to be a massive crowd and stuff, you want to beat Glenavon, so. But no, screw this. I want 2 victories. Never mind.
There you go.
2 victories, please. No, again, I've said about bringing the wee man down and stuff. He's coming down. My girlfriend's making her Portadown debut. Oh,
you'd be lucky to get 1 victory.
Oh, there she is.
Hold on, this is a running joke because everyone thinks she's made up.
Yeah. Here, come here. It's the last show of the year. Show your face. She's a
Has
card.
Kirsty been seen in one of these shows before?
No, just heard, usual. So she's shooting her, be lucky to get 1 victory, never mind 2. So yeah, she's coming as well to the game and all against Glenavon. So really am praying it's on and stuff so. It should be a good laugh, and Glenavon will bring a big support as well. So
you should keep up your gimmick. You should just have an empty seat beside you and keep talking to Kirsty the entire game.
Aye, she doesn't exist apparently. So listen, I never asked Do you know what? It's the last show of the year, and I'm going to ask for a prediction. Michael, I'm putting you on the spot. Who is going to win the Mid-Ulster Derby?
I just want to say a draw, but that's such a cop-out. I do feel like if you're going on form, you have to tip Glenavon, don't you? And look, put this clip up on the on a TV screen and use it to motivate all the players, and I'll just take all the credit if you do win it, put it down. But I have to say, I think Glenavon have played very well lately. I would have to, just being realistic, I would have to give them the edge. I'm not going to just play to the audience. I know I've just annoyed everybody watching this or listening, so I do apologise, but that's my. This
is me ripping up Michael's invitation to be on the show again. Forget about it. No, listen, they got a good result there against Coleraine and stuff, so they're not to be underestimated in the slightest. They are on their day. They can cause teams some serious problems. Like, so Gary Hamilton, he's ex-Portadown down. He does enjoy, he does get a bit of stick from the Portadown fans and stuff, so he'll want to win this desperately, especially marking the 10-year anniversary he's been at Glenavon and stuff. So they're a club that on their day can Glenavon can flatter to deceive, but at the same time, if you catch them at the wrong time, they can do you in. So who knows? But I'd be confident that Portadown can get a result. But then Glenavon are going to be going, we're confident we can go to Shamrock Park and get a result. So I
actually thought a draw, but I never predict draws because I just think it's a really boring thing to do. So that's why I say Glenavon. And that's why I never win prediction leagues, because obviously a draw is a result. But I just feel like if anyone's ever said, which one of these, I hate when people go down the middle, so I always try and pick one even if I'm wrong.
No, fair enough. There has been, quite a few draws between Portadown and Glenavon, and Boxing Day over the years and stuff. So, and there's a 3 each. I remember there was a 2 each as well, in 2016. Yeah, 2016 there was a 2 each. So, again, it's perfectly feasible that could be an 8-all draw or something like that, because both aren't exactly resolute at the back on a regular basis. So.
What were your other things that made you happy in 2021? Because we both agreed on fans being back.
We both agreed on fans being back, and then getting the opportunity to do a bit of commentary and stuff. Sort of, it's not something I'd never done, so I really enjoyed that. Do you know what? I'll say, a few weeks ago we had a We Are Ports event, and it was with Mickey Collins, obviously an absolute a bona fide Portadown legend, and I had the pleasure of speaking to Mickey at that, and asking him a few questions, chatting about a few stories and stuff, and he was absolutely hilarious, and some of his responses were pure gold. About battles against Glentoran, and you could be here all day talking about it. So that was a great experience as well, just chatting about great times and stuff. And also, I'll say that, but basically the main one, it's getting everyone back, getting the fans back, getting to bring, friends and family down, and all. It was brilliant. And that's what football's all about at the end of the day. So football's nothing without fans. It doesn't matter what level it's at. If it's amateur league, Irish league, Premier League, Champions League, if you've no fans, it's not the same.
And if you've no fans, you've no burger fans, as I quickly found out, and that's heartbreaking. So thank goodness they're back.
Well, exactly. And it's not like me saying this, but Kirsty has demanded that I get her a cheesy gravy chip from the Portadown burger van whenever we get there. So yes,
there was a supporter sort of to my right at Mornview last Saturday who got a curry chip, and whatever way the wind was blowing, it was just wafting the smell of it right up my nostrils, and I was going, oh, I'm so hungry. This is amazing. And the cameraman actually said, can you smell that? And I went, it smells sensational. It was making me starving, but you can't beat it when you get some nice chips in a football ground and the odd wee burger.
Exactly. And I know I'm probably biased, but the chippy van at Portadown is the best in the league. So
it's very, very good. It's very, very good.
Do you know where you're commentating on on Boxing Day yet?
I don't yet. No, I don't.
So you could end up at Shamrock Park.
Hey, who knows? Who knows? No, I'm probably going to find it in the next couple of days. So that'll be my early Christmas present. I always look forward to that. I think my family are just trying to figure out what to do with actually having to be with me for an entire Boxing Day this year. Normally they get rid of me for a substantial part of it. So I will actually be sitting in the house with my feet up on the 26th and kind of going, this is all a bit strange. And then have to remind myself to make sure to go to the match the next day, wherever it might be.
Yeah. Well, there was groundbreaking news today. I suppose we might have all touched on it while we're here. That Nifl have announced that they're planning to host the League Cup final on a Sunday, which some will say is controversial, but I'd say a lot of people will be very happy with that decision. So Boxing Day this year obviously falls on a Sunday, and that's why the games are on the Monday. We'll touch on it briefly. If the League Cup final is played on the Sunday, which I think is a phenomenal idea and long overdue, could you see the Boxing Day games? Now, I know it only happens once in a blue moon, the Boxing Day games that fall on a Sunday, but they're obviously then played on the Monday. Could you see that maybe bucking the trend, so to speak, that maybe games would be played on a Sunday on Boxing Day down the line?
This is the testing of the water. There's no doubt about that. You know, football in Northern Ireland has some big questions it has to answer. And it's great that we are seeing a bit of leadership and we're not seeing kicking the can down the road, which is quite often in sport, politics, many different arenas, what we do see happen. So this is what they're going to look at and say, has it worked? And if it draws a big crowd, and if actually, you know, coming up with a sensible strategy when it comes to ticket prices is able to incentivize more people to go, if it looks better on TV, it's going to start, you know, aligning things up for that to happen again, isn't it? And, you know, if it's a flop and barely anyone buys a ticket, well, then anyone that doesn't want it to happen, and there will be people that don't. Obviously, both of these clubs had to sign up to the idea as well. So fair play to Coleraine and Cliftonville for being prepared to work on that principle as well, not just the Northern Ireland Football League and excuse me, you know, the Premiership Committee or whoever else has been discussing different plans over the last while, and the League Cup organisers and everything else. But there's going to be some clubs and some parts of Northern Ireland that don't want Sunday football. They're going to need one over, and a successful League Cup final will be a big step towards influencing others. So that's my take on it. Personal view, and I don't mind sharing it. I'm all for matches happening on a Sunday. I think, you know, if you're a person who has a conviction about, you know, I don't do things on a Sunday, and that's a day where things don't happen, I entirely respect that, and I understand the frustration that then that might mean that you miss out occasionally. But if you're a person that doesn't like the idea of football in Northern Ireland on a Sunday, but will go to England and watch football, or will turn on the TV and watch football, then I don't think you have a horse in the race here, and you need to sort of zip it. So that's the way I look at it. You know, I think it's a good idea. I don't necessarily want matches Friday, Saturday, Sunday every single week split up for the sake of it if there's not going to be the coverage for the games. But I think we should start looking at ways of maximising our attendances and continuing to grow the league further. And that might mean more evening games. That might mean certain marquee weekends or weeks where we think, well, can we put, you know, matches on at a certain time and have more coverage? Can we do something that will allow more people to come? A bit of creativity, really, instead of just settling for the same old, because our league is growing and we should be in a position now where we're helping it to grow and not hindering it.
Yeah. No, I agree with everything you say there. And if people don't want to go and watch football on a Sunday, that's their choice, their decision. But I am of the opinion that just because if you don't want to watch football on a Sunday doesn't mean there aren't others that do want to watch it. So I think it's a great idea. I'm all for it as well. And I actually think it'll help the crowd, because there's so many people over here that play football on a Saturday at amateur level, whether it be the amateur league itself, the Mid-Ulster League, the Ballymena leagues or whatnot. A lot of those people can't go to games on Saturday because of it. So if the game's there on the Sunday, and again, a lot of people go to pubs and watch the Premier League games, the Scottish League games on the telly. So, you know, if there's an opportunity to go to a game over here, you know, there's a decent chance that they might take it up, especially people from Coleraine and obviously North and West Belfast at the minute. Like, so
the onus will be on the league to get the fixtures right. And what I mean by that is, do not schedule, and there's no way they would do this. I really doubt it. But just, to be contrary, why not? Don't schedule 7:30 Warrenpoint versus Coleraine Sunday night. Obviously, you know what I mean? So, these need to be games that take place in the afternoon, sort of, whether they want to do it as a 2 or 3 o'clock kickoff or whatever. I'm open to listening to what way that might work, but I think they need to be realistic and say, let's put matches on that people want to come to, let's build it, and then we can go from there. And having sort of those marquee big events, a League Cup final is a perfect, introduction to this idea, because it will bring people out and get them into a new habit, and just help increase the visibility of the league and give people a chance to go that maybe don't get to.
Yeah, you don't want to be scheduling a game like a sort of a test event over here. You don't want to be scheduling it, when there's a big game on in the Premier League or something like that on TV, like a Man United Liverpool or something like that. But funny, I actually went and looked, and the date they've provisionally picked for the League Cup final, that weekend in the Premier League, the big games are Arsenal are playing Leicester and Man United are playing Spurs. So they're big games, but they're not, the top tier games. So you would think, in theory, you wouldn't put it up against the Man United game, so to speak, anyway.
Yeah.
But who knows?
Yeah, we'll see. But, just on the face of it, I think credit to the Northern Ireland Football League for actually having the gumption to do something different. And I know some people were thinking, it's a bit disappointing it's not happening sort of end of January, February, but now it's got a marquee feel. Now it's got people talking about it. And sometimes the League Cup doesn't have that same profile. So that's what we want. We want our cup finals to mean something. It's got people talking. So it's already, on its way to being a success. Now they just need to make sure the other strategies are successful. And we can learn from the FAI final, in Dublin, and what they were able to do in terms of ticket prices and getting thousands of people in. And I know, having big clubs in a final obviously helps that too, but we've got big clubs in this final, 2 well-supported teams in this final. So I don't see why we can't make sure that it's affordable and try even have a few neutrals go, do you know what, for the value for money, mom will go.
Yeah, no, absolutely. You're completely bang on. And I agree with you 100% there. Speaking of the League Cup, when football returns in the new year, on New Year's Day, Portadown are away to Ballymena United, who got beat in the League Cup semi-final there the other night by Cliftonville. I'll touch on it briefly because it's obviously a 2.5 weeks away. New Year's Day football, that's another sort of, how it always has a festive feel, doesn't it? And we travel to the Ballymena Showgrounds, which hasn't been a happy hunting ground for Portadown in recent years, and to be honest, a lot of years altogether, and it's always freezing up there and stuff. So that'll be a difficult game at Ballymena. Again, another team that on their day can give anybody a game.
Yeah, they can, and they've been a team that have struggled this season. There's no secret about that. And David Jeffrey at times probably has felt the pressure, and the pressure that he puts on himself, not just from supporters who obviously have been disgruntled at different points, but he's probably been looking and saying, what is happening here and why is this happening? So when you look at some of the performances they've been able to put in, that win against Larne showed you what they're about. Great goal from Paul McElroy. Parkhouse returned from injury, hit the crossbar, really unlucky. Things maybe just starting to kind of go their way again. So this is not a great time to be playing Ballymena, probably, because they look as though they have improved a bit. And look at how much Ballymena struggled at Shamrock Park. Even against 9 men, it was like a scrape over the line type victory, really, with a bobbly finish. I know they all count, but they were far from impressive that day. So it's not going to be an easy game, but I just think that Ballymena will be a tougher prospect than what they would have been a month and a bit ago. There's still a touch of Jekyll and Hyde about them, admittedly. So there's that asterisk beside them. And in some ways, strangely, Portadown and Ballymena, I've kind of felt the same when I've gone to watch them at times. You can be really, really impressed or almost a little confused because they're not predictable. And and this will probably be another one of those games that is not predictable, but they're away to Linfield on Tuesday, and then they're home to Coleraine. So I'm sure Portadown fans will be hoping that they're a bit bruised, battered, maybe demoralised by the time they get round to playing you. But look, who knows?
Yeah, indeed. And fingers crossed before we even get the Ballymena, we go in with on the back of 2 wins. Listen, I think this is a good opportunity to wrap up the show. Before we go, I just want to say thank you to everybody that has been on the show, of course. So Michael, thank you for coming on tonight. You've been on numerous times, and thank you to all the rest of our guests. But most importantly, thank you to everyone who has taken the time to watch and listen to our shows. I really hope you've enjoyed them. We have had a blast throughout the year recording them. And I just wish everyone a very happy Christmas and a happy New Year. We'll be back after the Ballymena game, so it'll be a review of the games around Christmas and then a preview of the cup game against Glenavon and United, but that obviously won't be until the start of January. So before I go, just want to say, don't forget to like and subscribe to the We Are Ports TV YouTube channel, and you can check us out on Apple Podcasts, Anchor, and Spotify. And like I said earlier on, don't forget to get your ticket for the Mid-Ulster Derby against Glenavon on the 27th. And whoever gets that last ticket will be running down the Brownstown Road like Charlie Bucket in Willy Wonka in the Chocolate Factory. So you don't want to miss out, folks. So get on it. And yeah, I think that's pretty much everything. Michael, thank you very much for coming on the show, and hope you have a happy Christmas too.
Thank you very much. A very Merry Christmas to you and a Happy New Year, Neil, and to everybody watching or listening to this as well. I hope you have a fantastic festive period, and football will determine that, won't it? Let's be honest, it always does.
Absolutely. Fingers crossed for 3 Portadown wins for the next couple of weeks. That's what I want for Christmas. Santa, give me 3 wins.
No pressure, Santa. There you go. Is Santa a red? We're about to find out.
Indeed. Thank you very much, Michael. Take care, folks. All the best.